Obviously, this isn't going to be the first hostile environment that you guys have faced in this postseason. How much of those previous experiences possibly help you? And also with regards to this venue specifically, is there anything unique about it that changes any of your strategies or base running approach or anything like that during the series?
No, I think it's just, today getting used to the field out there. Guys have played here once before this season, so really no secrets as far as how the field plays, maybe a little bit cooler, but yeah, I think anytime you run through a couple different series in the postseason, you go through some games that, win or lose, you go home, that in hostile environments, you gain a little, perspective and certainly confidence from that.
I know you talked about it before, but 5 games in a row now, how much does that possibly change your lineup constructions and or how you handle your bullpen over these series?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more bullpen, how long we go with our starters, but each and every day is going to kind of dictate how the next day goes. Typically we get longer starts out of Joe, which should help us leading off 5 days in a row, but you're not sure, and so we'll take it day to day, and we haven't even announced a starter for the second day here yet.
On the
Nor
aisle.
will I today.
Sorry. On the aisle on the left.
There's kind of that old adage: the road teams take one road game, and the kind of the series is in your advantage. Kind of on the other side of that, do you almost feel like winning one of the games against Philly's two tops, one of the top starters, kind of flips the script for you guys a little bit?
These things flip around so quickly that your mindset can change from game to game. So we've been pretty good about, over the course of the season, just worrying about one game. We've been able to respond to tough losses this year, starting at the very beginning of the season. So I don't think we look too far into it. We know we're here for 3 games. We're going to try to win all of them individually. Whether that happens or not, I'm not sure. But, look, they deserved to win the first game. We got 1 hit, so we needed to win yesterday. Now we're here, and they're all going to be separate games for us.
Hey, Bob, how unique is Joe? And I mean sort of specifically his ability to, take it all in, to, know all his teammates, to be a leader, to embrace the pressure, and then also focus.
Well, he's as good as anybody we have at that, and you've heard, what he had to say here about, it's one thing to go into a game confident and visualizing success, but it's always important to understand there could be another side to that. It doesn't go smoothly. I have a card that is a semi-script how I think the game's going to go, and it doesn't very often go exactly as planned. So you have to be able to understand that there are going to be some moments that you have to dig deep and kind of will yourself through. So, whether that's on the mound, whether it's understanding what is needed in a clubhouse from day to day, he's really worked himself into a role where he's as much of a leader as we have here, especially on the pitching staff. So good guy to have, pitching the first game of series on the road.
Kind of taking that concept with Joe over the course of the whole season. He did have some struggles in the middle there, but he pulled himself out of it. He was kind of confident throughout that he would. What did you see that allowed him to do that, to kind of get back to where he was at the beginning?
Well, I think he embraced the fact that it's a challenge. Things aren't going well, and I can either, run from it, or can face it head on and work my way out of it. So it took him a while, during the middle of the season. Well, I think he was 6-0 or whatever to start, and then had some challenges. But I think all those things over the course of a season, coming out of it, pitching some of your best baseball at the end of the season, kind of shows you about his character a little bit, and puts him in a situation where he's going to feel confident going into tomorrow.
Do you think you guys are particularly well equipped for this challenge of potentially 5 games in 5 days, given how often you've asked your starters to go deep in games, maybe more so than some other teams?
I hope, but we'll have 1 game where we might not have a starter conditioned to go too deep in the game. So you have to be aware of that and see how each day plays into the next. But in general, I think we've been let our starters go a little bit, and I think at this time of year, when a lot of bullpens are maybe run down a little bit, I think maybe ours has been saved a little bit by the use of the starters.
Bryce.
Bob, Josh Hader obviously struggled mightily after the trade deadline, and now he's been dominant for maybe the last month and certainly in the playoffs. Maybe not mechanically or approach-wise, but is there a way to explain how difficult that mental journey is to flip that switch, not get too down on yourself, not let the season unravel and collapse, and then to be this Josh Hader right now.
It doesn't surprise me that he's been able to do that. He's done this for a while. You're always going to go through some tough periods. The toughest role on any baseball team is the closer, because if you pitch poorly, your team loses. So, and you go through a stretch where it's not going great, it can wear on you. But if anybody was capable of pitching his way through that, as you saw him, new team, you know, all the things kind of thrown at him at a time when maybe he wasn't pitching his best. But it doesn't surprise any of us that he's pitching the way that he is right now because of his experience and how tough-minded he is and how he kind of looks at the game in general.
On one hand, I know awards aren't the end-all for lots of people in baseball, but any reaction to Manny not being among the final 3 finalists for the Gold Glove at third?
Yeah, I'm a little biased, obviously, but I'm surprised by it. You know, we have some guys on there that I'm glad they're on there. I think the one that is missing and is pretty glaring and obvious would be Manny.
What are you expecting out of Suarez for them? I know early in the year he faced you. And going beyond that, their pitching, do you know sort of play this chess game and what they might be doing and you're doing, and how does that all play in?
It doesn't. Just tomorrow plays in, and he pitched a good game against us at our place. So, you know, we know that. We have some guys that have faced him, not a ton of at-bats against him. So you go in with as much experience as you can. You know, he can be really, really good. So, you know, we'll just take it that far. The next day might look similar to what we have to do, and when we get there, then we'll deal with the next day.
And about their bullpen, do you know, what guys coming in where for them and plan around that at all, or you just have to see?
When they come in, we deal with it. So, I mean, you know which guys, they showed you in game 1 who they were going to rely on, you know, in those instances. But, you know, they've had a pretty good bullpen here recently, too. So there are a lot of good arms that come out of that bullpen. How they deploy it, I don't know. But we take each challenge as they come in.
Hi, Skipper. Manny is not on the finalist, but you guys have 4 finalists as a shortstop, second base, center, and right field. Could you share your thought about them?
Yeah, look, I'm proud of all of them. You know, obviously the one that we're extremely sentimental about is Kim being a finalist at short. I don't know that there's a better defensive shortstop that I've seen this year. You know, the metrics can look a little different for everybody, but he's been a consistent performer for us, and, you know, defensively kind of our heartbeat. Trent Grisham, obviously not surprising. You know, his numbers are going to be off the charts. Even in a down year for him offensively, he continues to perform. You know, Juan's going to be in any talk from Silver Slugger to Gold Glove to anything, just on being, you know, the premier player that he is. And Jake, look, Jake's putting a lot of hard work at second base to become the guy that he is. Durable, out there every day, makes not only the routine plays, but the really good play. First time this year in the shift. You know, Manny was in the shift last year, so had that challenge as well. All those guys have performed beautifully.